rise up if you will. Yes, I'm gonna say yes. I don't know where we're going, but I trust this. Yes, I'm gonna say yes. Abundantly, I know that we will manifest. One more time. Say yes. I don't know where we're going, but I trust it. Yes, I'm gonna say yes. Abundantly, I know that we will manifest. Abundantly, I know that we will abundantly, I know that we will manifest.
So the encore is prayer. So let us pray. Let's take a deep breath in. There is a power for good in this universe, and it is mine to use. The beautiful thing is that it can use me too. This power and this presence is so magnificent, so everywhere present, and it expresses itself. It shows up as love, as peace, harmony, joy, abundance, light, and power. And all that God is on the macro level, I am on the micro. I am an individualized, perfect, unique expression of the one. And what is true for me is true for each and every one of you. It's true for each and every being on this planet. It's true for all of creation, seen and unseen. The divine is inherent in all things, all conditions, and all situations. For there is no spot where God is not. So knowing that this is the truth, I claim and know on this day that I live in a world of peace. That is the seed that I choose to plant. I live in a world of harmony and love and full embrace. I declare here and now that I and that we show up in all of our glory, with all of our gifts. For the beauty of life happens in the mundane, in the day-to-day activities, in the day-to-day tasks, in the day-to-day interactions with one human being at a time. I declare here and now that I matter. I am part of the fabric of the whole, and what is true for me is true for everyone. If one of us is pulled out, there is a tear in that fabric. So I say yes to my calling. I say yes to being a seed planter of love and peace and joy in this world. And I'm so glad to know that I am not alone. My friends here also have said yes. So it's with great intention that we move in and through our world, expressing as that divine spark that lives within us is seeking expression through us and as us. So I declare right now a full body yes, 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 yes. I say yes. Do you say yes? Yes. I just give thanks for this time. I give thanks for this opportunity to be in front of you. And I'm so grateful to know that my word has power, to know that when I speak my word, a new cause is set in motion that cannot return to me void. For it is the law's job to say yes, to take the direct impress of my thoughts and to act upon them with mathematical precision. So I can confidently, and I do confidently release these words to that perfect action of love and law, knowing as always that it is already done, above and beyond what I could even imagine. And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. It's so great to see all of you and new people. Welcome, welcome. My name is Vanessa Kunitz, and I am a practitioner here, licensed spiritual practitioner. I'm the office manager here, too. I'm a friend to everyone here, too. Yes. But I'm also a minister in training, so this is my first full talk here. I've only done like a half a talk with Kathy. But I'm not nervous, right? Who gets nervous doing this sort of stuff? Well, today I want to talk to you about the fact that you can change the world. But when people say that, you can change the world. You can change the world. Just think for a minute, like, how does that feel? Right? You can change the world. Yeah, you can do that. You can change the world. Right. Yeah. How does that feel for some of you? How many of you, you get really excited about the idea? Yeah? How many of you get, anxious? Right? That it seems like something that's really big, right? Change the world, oh my gosh. Well, I used to think that to change the world, I had to do something really big and drastic too. Not that the thought ever goes away, but I've learned some things over the years. So just to give you a little background about myself, unless you're at Sister Spirit, even my spiritual community here, you may not know this about me. As a little girl, my dad was murdered when I was when I was just 6 years old. By the time I was in 6th grade, my mom was addicted to drugs, right? And so we went from kind of having this nuclear family and all the creature comforts to just a drastic change, right? To my brother's friends having to get us dinner because sometimes there wasn't food at home. Police would come by and check on us because the neighbors knew that we were alone for a long time, right? So that's the past that I come from. I was pretty smart. I was president of everything, elementary school. I don't have any control issues, nothing like that. But, I kind of knew I had something in me that wanted to make change. But at 15, still, I was somebody kind of raising myself, right? So I became pregnant at 15, again at 17. I ended up graduating from a continuation high school. I was valedictorian, though, of continuation high school. But later on, after I had 4 kids and I had adopted my twin nieces because my brother went to jail, their mother went too while she was pregnant with them. And so to make sure that they didn't stay in foster care, not that I didn't have 4 of my own and plenty to do, but I took them on and I adopted them legally. And then I got accepted to UC Berkeley, which I would like to say I graduated with straight A's too. Oh, wow. All right. With 6 kids, they all walked the stage with me. Yeah, it was so cute. It was so adorable. But that was hard. That was really hard. But while I was there, they say it's no coincidence of what we major in college. It usually has some connection to our personal life. So I majored in social welfare and political science at Cal. And my idea then was I was going to become the Secretary of Health and Human Services because I was going to change the welfare system. Because they wouldn't let me go to college. I had to do that on my own. So I was at UC Berkeley, no welfare, because they'd pay for vocational school, like medical assisting and things like that, right? But no college. So I did that on my own in financial aid. Or I was going to become the Secretary of Education, like I was going to be in the White House somehow, some way. I thought that was how you make change, right? However, I started to learn the power of impacting one life. Right? So my ideas for making change, they started to shift, often in the shower. I don't know why this happened. It was so weird. I started wanting to be like Martin Luther King and Jesus. I am not playing either. I'd be in the shower and I'm having like Martin Luther King type speeches come. If I could just have a ticker tape come out of my ear, while my thoughts were going. And I would pray in the shower like, who wants to be like Martin Luther King and Jesus? Where did that idea come from? If this has anything to do with fame seeking or ego stuff, God, please strip me of that. Please strip me of that. But back then, so I really thought that the only way to change the world was to do something on a grand scale. But like I said, my perspective changed over time. And so my point of view today is that we actually do have the power to change the world, but by changing our mind and changing our perspective, and by believing strongly that no act is too small. No act is too small. My eye-to-eye contact with you is no small thing, right? So it's when we expand our consciousness with great intention and we embody a consciousness of love and oneness and connection with all of life, that's when we can become an agent for change in our own lives and in the world. It really matters. Ernest Holmes says, change your thinking, change your life, right? So one thing that we know for sure is that change is constant, right? It's going to happen whether you like it or not. But what we learn as we change our mind is that we have the power to choose and direct this change. Or we could just sit back and let it happen to us, right? And whatever happens by default. But this goes for our personal lives as well, and the world at large. Like, we have the power to direct change. So when most of us think about the nature of change, we think about it in our society through a materialized, external focused type of perspective. And what we often don't do is think about it from an internalized, spiritualized perspective. Part of what's happening now is everything is so outward focused. It's so, I have to make it happen and I have to achieve. And we haven't spiritualized our conversation. The spirit has been stripped of almost all the conversation. In school, it's been stripped. And our dialogue with each other has just been stripped. So let's think about our political climate. Ooh. Oh, right? It's awesome, right? No, not at all. It's very tough, scary, produces a lot of fear and anxiety. But what happens if we spiritualize our perspective on what's occurring right now? Amen. Right? And change our conversation, think about it through a different lens. One of my favorite books that I had to read in practitioner studies was called, is by Thomas More, Care of the Soul. Have any of you heard of that book? Yeah. Whew, I love that book. I love that book. I love that book. And one of the things he talked about, which was so fascinating, like, I was an English and history teacher. I taught 6th grade in Oakland. And it was part of the curriculum to teach these kids about the rise and the fall of civilizations. Civilizations have been along way longer than the United States of America. I'm talking way, way, way longer. And they rise and they fall. Next unit, they rise and they fall. Next unit, they rise and they fall. And the kids had to see this, right? And think about this. But Thomas More talks about how when we read the history books, we don't need therapy after we read about the decimation of whole entire civilizations. We could read it and kind of have an objective view about it, right? Oh, it's just in the book. That happened to those people. Right? But he talks about how if we could look at what's happening in our own lives and in our own world with a little more like bird's eye view, a more universal kind of look at it, not take it as personal, this is happening to me, maybe we could see things a little differently. So here's my shot at that. There's this guy called Donald Trump. Let's be real. All right? But in the English teacher and me, we talk about characters too. From a universal perspective, we are a human body that is constantly and forever evolving, whether we like it or not. And here comes an antagonist in the story, because I had to teach this to kids, you've all learned it, right? The antagonist in the story, he is the perfect character for our growth. Doesn't mean it's comfortable, but how often is change comfortable? He's the perfect character to show us the underbelly of America. Some of us, we weren't surprised by all the things going on in America. We have to live it every day. I have 4 sons. You guys hear about the life of African American males in this country and the things they face, right? Yeah, well, I'm the mom who goes to sleep worried at night because I have 2 young sons who are working graveyard shift. So some of us have lived this every day. Other people think, oh, because we had a black president, there's no more racism. Right. But now what has happened is it's all been flipped. Now it's all out, fully exposed, and people can be really angry at Donald Trump, and there's plenty of reasons why. But now it's time for us as individuals and groups of people to see how we're showing up in the world, right? He is the perfect example. So while we're pointing fingers out this way, there's always one pointing back, right? Yeah, like that, right? So while we're shooting our little judgment at this beautiful, this tough character, he is God in form too, though. Let us not forget. Are we going to be selective with our application of what we believe? He is the perfect character to help us evolve. But it comes down now to what is our personal choice. When I'm face to face with you, how am I treating you? When I'm with groups of people who are different than me, how am I thinking of them? What judgment am I shooting at them? I say he's perfect for that. But like I said, it's very rare that we spiritualize our conversation and our perspective on stuff. Like I said, it's been stripped. And the divisiveness and the sense of separation, it really is at epidemic proportions. But in preparing for this talk, I came across this quote that I'd like to share by Malcolm Gladwell, the author of The Tipping Point. Have any of you heard of that book? Yeah. It says, the success of any kind of social epidemic is heavily dependent on the involvement of people with a particular and rare set of social gifts. A particular and rare set of social gifts. And I believe that we develop that unique set of social gifts to share with the world by intentionally growing and expanding our consciousness. We really can be spiritual change agents. We can do our part in creating a world that works for everyone. But it's important to remember that the true change in changing the world is an inside-out job. It's inside out. Because if I take all my anger and energy, frustrated energy, and I go attend a protest or I go get on some committee to make some change, I'm taking all of that energy with me. That's what I'm infusing into that conversation. Those are the seeds that I'm planting to take root, right? Now, I could still show up for something that I'm passionate about, but I could show up with love. I could plant seeds of great intention and what I do want to see in the world. So change agents are people who act as a catalyst for change, right? And so something else I came across was this guy said there are 5 characteristics of successful change agents. And he was talking about change agents in organizations, right? But I thought about no, I'm talking about spiritual change agents. Do these still apply? And they actually do. Number 1 is to have a clear vision. If you want to be a successful change agent, what is it that you want to see? Who's your audience? Hopefully you're starting with yourself. An audience of 1 is okay for a while, right? So have a vision. What is it you want to see for yourself in your life, right? If you want to be a change agent in your family, what do you want to see for yourself and your family? I decided to have a peaceful home environment where there's beauty that surrounds me and my children. There's a lot of laughter and love, and I'm not making this stuff up. It's not a bunch of screaming and yelling going on in my household. So you have to have a clear vision. A couple of years ago at Sister Spirit, how many of you have been to Sister Spirit? Oh, look at, that's like, so for those of you who don't know, our Reverend Abigail Shire, our senior minister here, puts on this annual retreat for women, and this is the 10th year that it's been. So it transforms lives. And a couple of years ago, I got clear on my vision. I use my voice to serve, inspire, and empower others. I didn't know the how, but that's not our job. That's Spirit's job, right? But I know what I'm here to do. No matter how the how looks different, it may be teaching classes, it may be here talking to you, talking one-on-one to a little 3rd grader who can't focus. He's crying because he found out that morning his parents were getting a divorce, right? And Spirit, I'm just opening the Spirit to give me the words to talk about divorce to a 3rd grader that allows him to go out and play in peace. We can be used as an instrument, right? So you have to have a clear vision. Number 2, it says be patient yet persistent. Oh, do you think you're not going to have the highs and lows of life just because you got clear about what you want to do? I feel like that's when you're going to have more of the, experience it more, because I had felt like I had to be stripped. I don't know if any of you experienced the dark night of the soul, but I have. It is not fun. It will sit your butt down. But luckily I had read about it before it happened, so I was clear, but I had to be stripped of what was not going to serve me on this journey. right? Oh, God, use me. I want to be used as a vessel for good in this world, as a conduit for good. Oh, yeah? That's what you want to do? I got to strip you of what you don't need anymore. What you had before may have served you at that time, but you don't need it anymore. Number 3, I think of it like the stock market. It's constantly trending, or a stock, right? It has its highs and lows, right? But my stock is trending upward because I have elevated my consciousness through my classes and my spiritual practices and principles. So I still experience the highs and lows of life, but my lows don't hit rock bottom like they used to do, right? So I'm like, oh, I could see the good in this. It's just different. Number 3, ask tough questions of yourself first. What is it I really want? What am I really willing to let go of, right? Number 4, be knowledgeable and lead by example, right? So I encourage you to take classes if you haven't, or to take more if you are open to that. And lead by example. People are watching. When you don't even realize people are watching. When, you see someone going through trouble and you actually said, how are you really? Not how are you? How are you really? I have some time, and people are watching. Like it has a ripple effect. And number 5, develop strong relationships built on trust with the people you serve. Be approachable, reliable, but do be willing to have those tough conversations, right? Silence contributes to the problem too. And when people see that you're willing to speak on the tough part, they really do begin to trust you more, right? So the last thing I want to leave you with is that there really is no act that is too small. Not one. And I learned that on the journey. Remember, I thought, I still have desires to be like MLK and Jesus. I do. It kind of felt weird to say, but I own it. I want to inspire people to live a greater life. I want to inspire people to know that when they align with the spirit that lives within them, that there are gifts that are waiting to pour out, that the very experience they're having in life, they don't have to change a million things around them. It starts changing. It just starts changing. And you can become a greater light. You have that light in you that will never die. There is nothing you can do to extinguish it. Sorry, like nothing. Yeah. Nothing you can do. The divine spark is our inheritance, right? But there is a way to align yourself with spirit through educating yourself, right? By growing your own faith through your own experiences and, your own trials and tribulations, and see how you're constantly delivered from that time and time again. Your light shines brighter in the world. It won't be hidden. You'll be living out loud. Right, in whatever way you're passionate about, whether it's music or speaking, living out loud. So remember, you're a practical mystic. You take this spiritual understanding of your divine nature everywhere you go. And so you can consciously choose to be that change agent. I call myself a seed planter. I may not be there to water it or to see what actually manifests from it, but I know the part that I have control over. I could tell you that you're loved. I can tell you that you matter. I could give you a shoulder to cry on. I could pick up the phone when you call me, right? I don't know how much that makes a difference in the long term, but I know that I matter and you matter. And so that one act, it does change the world. So when I say to you, do you know that you can change the world? You can say, absolutely. And you could lose, we can lose that sense of fear and anxiety about it all because, if I'm not changing the world, if I'm not on some grand stage and the whole world is looking at me, what's my platform going to be? This is my platform right here. I love you. Your prayer really grounded me today. Thank you so much for that. I needed that. You changed my world because I thought you guys were going to hear my heart beating through this thing. So I just want you to remember that when we change the world. We change the experience of our world. We change the way we show up in the world, and we do change the type of seeds that we plant in the world. And there's a quote, and that is an inside out job. It really is. You start clearing away the weeds in here, boy, The light you have to give the world is just something else. So I'd like to end with a quote from Ernest Holmes. It says, there is, and he's quoting Emerson as well in here, there is no problem of evil in the universe. There's only a problem of ignorance. Emerson said, ignorance is the only sin, and enlightenment is the only answer. Yeah. So, yes. So the peace and the healing of this world, for the peace and healing of this world, it's essential for us to not edit or censor ourselves and our gifts. And we do not have to I encourage you to not think that your gifts have to be so huge. A smile is a gift. Yes. Eye contact is a gift. Using I love you graciously and plentifully is a gift. You know, some people go to therapy because they never heard those 3 words. Absolutely. Tell somebody you love them. So I just invite you this week to think about different ways that you can expand your consciousness. If you like a specific action, maybe you could get clear on your vision. Maybe write it down. Or you could sign up for Reverend Abigail's class on Prosperity Plus. That class is full of different ways to get clear on your vision and what really matters to you with different activities, right? So I just invite you to spread love this week and to consciously be like a love, a seed planter. That's what you want to be a seed. Is anyone willing to be a seed planter with me? Oh, really? I'm dead serious though. It really matters with all this stuff going on. If you could just go and infect people with love and tell them they're enough and that it's going to be okay, that all things are temporary, even this, right? We can make a difference, all right? Oh, somehow I missed this quote. I'm sorry, I must say it, and you all have heard it before, by Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. And so it is, right? All right, thank you. Oh, wow. Thank you. That's so awesome. Thank you. Well, the encore is prayer. So let us pray. Let's take a deep breath in. There is a power for good in this universe, and it is mine to use. The beautiful thing is that it can use me too. This power and this presence is so magnificent, so everywhere present. And it expresses itself. It shows up as love, as peace, harmony, joy, abundance, light, and power. And all that God is on the macro level, I am on the micro. I am an individualized, perfect, unique expression of the one. And what is true for me is true for each and every one of you. It's true for each and every being on this planet. It's true for all of creation, seen and unseen. The divine is inherent in all things, all conditions, and all situations. For there is no spot where God is not. So knowing that this is the truth, I claim and know on this day that I live in a world of peace. That is the seed that I choose to plant. I live in a world of harmony and love and full embrace. I declare here and now that I and that we show up in all of our glory, with all of our gifts. For the beauty of life happens in the mundane, in the day-to-day activities, in the day-to-day tasks, in the day-to-day interactions with one human being at a time. I declare here and now that I matter. I am part of the fabric of the whole, and what is true for me is true for everyone. If one of us is pulled out, there is a tear in that fabric. So I say yes to my calling. I say yes to being a seed planter of love and peace and joy in this world. And I'm so glad to know that I am not alone. My friends here also have said yes. So it's with great intention that we move in and through our world, expressing as that divine spark that lives within us is seeking expression through us and as us. So I declare right now a full-bodied yes, 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 yes. I say yes. Do you say yes? Yes. I just give thanks for this time. I give thanks for this opportunity to be in front of you. And I'm so grateful to know that my word has power, to know that when I speak my word, a new cause is set in motion that cannot return to me void. For it is the law's job to say yes, to take the direct impress of my thoughts and to act upon them with mathematical precision. So I can confidently, and I do confidently release these words to that perfect action of love and law, knowing as always that it is already done, above and beyond what I could even imagine. And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you.